Okay, today we're going to talk about midpoints. So the first thing you need to know is the definition of a midpoint, and that is the ordered pair in the middle of 2 points. So if we have a point here, say this is 0, 1, and we have a point over here, and this is 2, 3, then our midpoint is the one that is exactly halfway between both, which means that it creates 2 congruent line segments. So here's our theorem for the midpoint. A theorem is a statement that we can prove, a mathematical statement that we can prove. So our theorem says that if point A is x1, y1, and B is x2, y2, then our midpoint, x sub m, y sub m, of AB, that line segment, is found using the midpoint formula. So it ties our points to the coordinate plane. So we do our x1 from here, x1, x1, and then we take the average of the x1 with the average of the x2. Same thing for the y's. We do our y1, y1, and our y2, y2. And it's an average. That's why you see this 2 underneath. We're averaging the 2. We're adding them up and dividing by how many there are. So here's our example. We're asked to find the midpoint between these 2 points. So if you had me for algebra, you know that I like to label my points x1, y1, x2, y2. Now all I'm doing is pulling the formula. So I've got that my midpoint is going to be equal to the average of the x's. So I've got -2 plus 8. So that was -2 came from here, plus 8 came from here. And I'm just going to divide those by 2. Then my y's are 3 plus 6 divided by 2. So again, that was 3 and 6 divided by 2. So my midpoint is equal to -2 plus 8, which is 6, divided by 2, and 3 plus 6, which is 9, divided by 2. So that's 3 and 4.5. All right, so this one's the tricky one. This time they give me the midpoint here in the middle. This is my midpoint. So I need the ordered pair that makes that guy the midpoint, and here are the 2 points that I need to use. So I've got to do some fun little algebra here, okay? So first I'm just going to go ahead and set up our equation. If you remember, the equation from the beginning was that x sub m, comma, y sub m is equal to, and let's see how many colors we want to try here. We're going to do x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2 over 2. So now we've just got to go and pull where x1 and y1 are. So here's my x's, x1, x2, and here's my y's, y1 and y2. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to replace those. So I'm going to take my little eraser here, and I'm going to take x1 out. Just kidding. There we go. And I'm going to put in what x1 is equal to. And in this case, x1 is equal to 7. x2 is just plain old x. So if I wanted to replace it, I could replace it with just this plain old x from the other problem. Okay, so you're going where? What problem? This x right here became this x right here. And then I'm going to stay with the rest of it the same, and we're going to go on to the y's. So the y value, y sub 1 is 1. So we're going to erase our y sub 1, and I'm going to put in its place 1. Okay, so remember, y sub 1 was right here, and I just replaced it. And now y sub 2 is here, and I'm going to replace it with just a plain old y. Okay, so now I've almost got an equation, except I've got these guys over here that I also need to replace. Remember, this is x sub m and this is y sub m. So I'm going to replace those as well. So I'm going to take my x sub m away, and I'm going to replace it with 10. Okay, where did that come from? Here's my 10, here's my 10. Those match. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my y sub m. Y sub m is going to go away, and in its place, I'm going to put in a 3. Where did that come from? Here's my 3, here's my 3. Okay, that's the setting it up. Now we have to do some algebra and actually solve. So I'm going to relate that these are all x's. These are all x's right here. So that's going to be one equation. 10 is equal to 7 plus x over 2. And then these are y's. So that's going to be my other equation. 3 is equal to 1 plus y over 2. So to solve that, to solve each of these, the first thing we do is multiply by 2 on either side. And I get 20 is equal to 7 plus x, subtract 7, and I get 13 is equal to x. And then for our yellow, we just do the same thing, multiply by 2, so 6 is equal to 1 plus y, subtract 1, and I get that 5 is equal to y. So the point that makes this the midpoint, makes 10, 3 the midpoint, is 13, 5. So back over here, that x and y would become a 13, 5. That's the hardest stuff there is on midpoints. Go ahead and watch the next video to remind yourself about the Pythagorean theorem.